Good afternoon, I hope you're well. This is Jim McFadyen again from the Vortex Centre for Wellbeing. This is episode number 22 of the Godcast, and missed a week last week for quite a few reasons after the ceremony retreat, which that'll be 3 weekends ago, come this weekend. This is Thursday I'm recording this. So kind of did the ceremony retreat, was absolutely flying off the back of that. What an experience the whole weekend was, and since we've came back, and then did the Godcast probably the start of the week. Plan was to do the start of the week and then start to kind of put some stuff out before it was released. I had a challenge with the sound, even though I kind of always test it 2 or 3 times before it, and it didn't seem to matter. By the time I recorded it, there was a challenge with the sound, so we missed a week because I was going to redo it, and then we had a re-listen to it, and I thought, you know what, the whole thing about this, doing this type of work, with especially the Godcast, it's never going to be perfect in terms of the production, and you know, it's an attempt by me. It's basically me and the Doug. That's what I'm smelling it over there. The Doug's lying in the corner. It's an attempt by me and Murph to basically put it together. And I'm not trained in any of this stuff, you know, so I'm kind of learning as I'm going. So the mistakes that happen, I'm always okay with that. I remember the first ever video that I did online, which is going back to 2000 and probably 17 or 18. Somebody called me out on it, you know, why do you know do videos? I was doing posts every day and I was talking about this stuff. And at the time I was probably a wee bit kind of, I wasn't embarrassed, but I was probably aware of what people were, you know, when they were looking in. And back then I was talking about the same stuff, you know, I was talking about, you know, consciousness and meditation and God and all that kind of good stuff. And I was probably a wee bit definitely camera shy. I was okay with the poems and stuff, but I was definitely camera shy. And I remember the first video that I ever did, or live, which was a Facebook video, and it was to do with, you know, putting people into the cold water. So I'm walking up and down the side of the river for about half an hour, 45 minutes, and I kept hitting the button, and I would bottle it at the last second, and I would basically like pull away from it. And eventually I got to the point where I started the video and I thought, if I don't do it, I'm never going to do it. It's like either do or don't, like do or do not, as Yoda would say. And I hit the button, and it went live, and I started, and I get about probably 30 seconds into it, and the video, the phone basically died, so the battery died on the phone. And I come off and I was standing at the riverside, you know, with this just plane crash of a video, my first live appearance online. And you know, I was then standing and going, what did I do? No charge for my phone, you know, what do you do? Do you run up the road and do you run into the van and get it charged up and then go into the Facebook and delete it? And I thought, you know what, it's warts and all, you know, if that's as bad as it's ever going to be, and people see, you know, the authentic, you know, real you, and the attempt that you've made, you know, and the decision I made very quick was like, just leave it up, that's it, you know, I've tried my best, it wasn't good enough. And I just left it, and it's still up to this day. And the amount of people that messaged me after it and basically thanked me, you know, for just leaving it up there instead of taking it down, you know. And that was the case with the video, the last number 21, the Godcast, which was all about the ceremony, the retreat that we did. You know, the sound wasn't ideal, and I thought, you know what, it's you're paid for the attempt, or not. In the case, as this case may be, it's a gift in the attempt. You do your best, and if it works out, it does, which it has done up to this point. But you know, so I decided just to put it out, and then last week I was kind of fighting something, which is really unusual for me. I don't ever get sick anymore since I discovered probably the cold exposure and breath work, probably the diet as well. When I changed my diet properly, probably 10-ish years ago, maybe just over 10 years ago, I went completely kind of full vegan, plant-based. Was the way that I chose after doing all sorts of research and trial by experimentation on myself. I tried all the different diets, the high fats and the high oils, and when I found, you know, high carbohydrate, low fat for the type of training I was doing at the time. I was training about 25 to 30 hours a week at the time. I was training, I just finished my last Ironman. I was doing ultra distance running, I was cycling crazy miles, I was still training in martial arts, so that the energy I was needing at the time, you know, was I couldn't keep up with it, and the volume of food that I was having to eat. And I came across a man from Australia, who's still fairly relevant, I think. It was all about high carbohydrate, low fat, and I found the China study and all sorts of different books that was basically Neil Bernard Jr., Dr. Neil Bernard, is that his name? Talking about high carbohydrate, you know, low fat. The body's 80% water, and it's designed to, you know, live on such things, and started to really look into the science behind and then really more what my feelings were in terms of what felt best. And I've always had a really strong appetite. I can eat for Scotland, and when I switched to high carbohydrate and low fat, the weight, when you stop eating fat, you don't put fat on, which when that penny dropped, I couldn't believe. You start to look at like biscuits and crisps that people eat, and you see that the grams of fat that's in like a chocolate biscuit. Then when I stopped that, when I stopped eating the fat, that was a significant part to me. That the clean carbohydrate diet getting in, which the body needs sugar, it does, just not processed sugar. I do believe that the fructose that we get from our fruits and all that kind of good stuff is the way that, for me, it works best, whether that's the way it's meant to be. Again, everybody's got their own belief system. I'd never ever give advice on diet, but I think when I changed my diet, and then at the same time, just off the back of that, and probably a couple of years later, then the cold exposure came in end of 2016, the breath work, and from that point on, after being sick my whole life, I was sick from 13 years old when I received that vaccine, up until the age of probably 45, 46 when I found the cold exposure. It's going back 7 years now, 2016, so it's coming up, it's getting there, and since then I don't ever really get sick, or if I do get sick, or if I feel something coming on. I think I've only been sick once, and I believe that they were spraying something in the skies in Glasgow. There goes the truth seeker in me, but I was in Glasgow, and the minute people get sick with this exact same bug, and it was like a dirty bug. I felt really ill. It was a winter's night, and get stuck at the car park in Glasgow. They changed the times of the car parks because of COVID, and I got really ill, and I was in bed for about probably 3 or 4 days. Flu type symptoms, but everything at the same time. My body had never dealt with anything like this, and I'd been sick my whole life. Viruses, bugs, chest infections, antibiotics. Growing up, that was like Smarties for me, like sweeties. So for the last probably 6 or 7 years, I don't really ever get sick. If I feel something coming on, when I studied with Wim Hof, that was my introduction to the immune system, and learning how the immune system goes together. And obviously when you learn deeper than that, because a lot of that stuff that I learned, when I learned later on how it actually goes together, as opposed to the stuff that I learned from them. But when I went and studied it and learned about how the different levels to the immune system and how you can influence it, and obviously the benefits of cold exposure and breath work, and how you can boost the immune system, and you can send the good stress, those the defence mechanisms by stress. That's what the cold exposure will do. I'll give your immune system a fantastic boost. So because I've been in the cold so much, since 2016, I never ever really get sick. And interesting enough, I had a couple of days off the cold. The way I use the cold now, it's not every single day. It's probably almost every single day, but it's not every single day. I still suffer from pain and inflammation. I do believe, again, because of the vaccines, my body's in this hyper-stimulated state. That's why I've got an overactive mind, a keen mind. That's why the head can struggle to switch off, and also my body as well. It feels as if it's fighting against something. Because of my awareness now, over the last 28 years of working on myself, I'm very aware of what's going on within my body. So I missed a couple of days at the cold, and then I kind of felt myself coming down with something. And normally at that point, when it was just in my gland, my gland in my throat, and I felt it coming on. And normally what I'd have done is just went and dumped 100 kilos of ice in the bath, which I've done in the past, and probably lit the sauna. And then the remedy I would use would be like a full bulb of garlic. I would squeeze 3 or 4 oranges, stick it in the Vitamix blender, and then kind of down that and try and keep it down, and then hit the ice, have maybe 1 or 2 ice baths to really boost my immune system. I would do some power breathing, so again bringing in huge amounts of stress. And squeezing into the thyroid, and which when I trained with Wim Hof, they're talking about flushing the thyroid and the benefits of the third level of your immune system, the B cells, the T cells, your ancient immunity, so the third level of your immune system. And at that point, no matter what it was, the amount of times, and it's only been maybe 3 or 4 times, the viruses and bugs that I used to get, that doesn't happen anymore. For whatever reason, maybe because my immune system is so strong, and I'm constantly using cold exposure and breath work and heat almost every single day, and very aware of the stuff that I'm putting into my mouth and where I'm spending my time in terms of taking the other stresses away. Maybe obviously that's got a part to play with it, but I decided not to do that this time. I decided to almost let my body become sick, which sounds mental, but the thought of dumping in more stress was one part of it, but the second part was I'm just going to let my immune system do what it does naturally. We are blessed with an immune system, and I just allowed myself to basically become sick. And it's lasted up until probably, I can still feel it a wee bit. It's been the last probably 5 or 6 days where I've kind of felt a wee bit off. It's came and it's went. It comes and it goes. It disappeared a couple of days ago completely. I've got a bioresonance machine called an amp coil, which I use, and I've been on that 5-6 hours a day sometimes. First thing in the morning, with the morning meditations with the program group, I'll put the amp coil on, and that can be sometimes 3 hours every morning. And I've just allowed my body to become sick, and between the amp coil and the meditation, and I've been sleeping a fair bit. I realised that since January time, I hadn't really had a single day off. 7 days a week, working on primarily the programme from the Vortex, working with Michael and Fern, the expansion that's coming through that, and then obviously all the new stuff that's coming, the new people that are coming, the different workshops and retreats and different products that I'm working on, as well as all the other stuff, the coaching one-on-ones and the event, all the stuff that I'm doing, So I was just tired. I felt as if I was tired and I was needing a rest. So I gave myself permission to stop. And when I came back for the retreat, I took 3 days off. I had a rest to myself. It was really when I stopped, that's when I became ill. It's fascinating when I remember any time I used to go on holiday, or normally at the Christmas holidays when I was young, kind of primary school age, every single year at Christmas time, almost every single year I would get a chest infection. The rest of the year I'd be okay, I'd still be suffering with the usual stuff, which was normal for me, like being no well was like just normal. Whether it was viruses or coming down with sore throats, or I'm just not quite feeling myself since that vaccination. But every year at Christmas time, and a lot of the times when I would go on holiday, even as an adult, when you actually stop, because you find yourself you're fighting all the time, you're fighting to putting stress into your system, whether it's through caffeine or overeating or worrying about stuff, and you find yourself like fighting all the time. When you go on holiday, that stops. So I've always felt like the body gets a chance to basically go, aye, okay, right, great, he's stopped. And now we'll allow this to come through, and great, the immune system gets a chance to do its job. And the benefit from that, the immune system, the way that it works, it's designed to have bugs and viruses in it. That's why and how it keeps strong, because it's fighting against it. And for me, over the last week or so, I've just allowed myself to do that, to get sick, which has been an interesting process to watch. It was terrible, feeling bad, but at the same time, I really enjoyed it. I kind of gave myself permission to stop, because I never ever stop with this stuff. It doesn't stop. So now I'm kind of back in the pink today, feeling good. Not that I felt really bad, but I just was kind of off it. And I think that was a result of, obviously, the year that I've had, all the stuff that I've just mentioned, but also, getting to a place where it wasn't quite working for me. I give myself away for the minute I wake up in the morning time, even now with the online stuff, the meditations. That used to be my time in the morning time, between 3 o'clock in the morning until 7 or 8, whenever the wains get up. And the day begins, my working day, whether it was before I was working in construction or whether now with the Vortex, and since since the last probably 3-4 months with the meditations, the live meditations, and certainly 7 days a week for the last probably couple of months, maybe a wee bit more, maybe 3 months. I don't have that time for myself anymore. At least I never did have up until the last couple of days where I've worked out how to do it, which has been great. I've actually got a nice understanding of what I need now before I'm working at 5:30 every morning, and putting the time into myself before the day begins, before I go and then work. So it wasn't working, the whole thing wasn't working. I was tired, I was getting grumpy, I was very much out of alignment, I wasn't feeling good, I wasn't in the flow, I was struggling, I was under stress. I was really emotional, in terms of, the frustration and not quite being there yet, trying to get to this place with this work, trying to get this work to the world and help people, and it's just not been happening quick enough, I was feeling. And, a result of all of that, and then, the ultimate realisation of, right, okay, so we're not there yet, what else can you do? And when you're doing all of the above, and you're not there yet, and you're really kind of stuck. I hear that a lot. People say, "I've tried everything," and you haven't. You think you have, and really, it's easy to teach this stuff, but sometimes when you need to look at yourself, it's not straightforward. So that's where I found myself. It wasn't going well. I wasn't feeling good. I was out of alignment. It was becoming work. It was becoming effort. And this stuff, this work, it can't be like that. That was work for me before in construction. The fight and the struggle and the stress and battering things into submission. That's the way I used to do it. and this work can't work like that. This needs to be easy, you know, to be in the flow, to be inspired, to be in spirit, to allow it to come through you. It should be easy, you know, the manifestation process and how it all goes together, it needs to be easy, you know. So at that point, I was really kind of broken with it, you know. I really had to stop. I was forced to stop because of the position I was in, just been really unhappy. Mental health was absolutely a challenge. I think a lot of the times, especially those that are close to me, you know, or even people that see me online, they think, it's all right for you kind of thing. But I'm just going through this life experience the same as anybody else. You know, I've got my own challenges, and the reason I do this work every single day is number one for myself. And you know, over the last wee bit, because I've been giving so much of myself away, I absolutely forgot all about that. And I had an acupuncture session, probably going back 10 days now, and one of my teachers, Brian, God bless his soul, and really grateful for everything that he's taught me over the years and the way that he helps me as a sounding board, never gives me any advice, but basic, you know, kind of, are you looking after yourself, are you tending to yourself, what are you doing for yourself? And I realised again, I got caught up in that place where I was giving myself away, which never works, you know, because the first thing that I teach people is to tend to the self, and to get it for yourself, and I got away with it to a certain point because I never ever really slip. I did a wee bit last week, but up to that point, for years and years and years, I never really come off it. It's certainly not the point where anybody would see, even if I'm really struggling, or something's happening, or whatever I'm going through, I can turn up and speak in front of 1,000 people, and nobody would ever know. You know, there's something about this work when it starts to come through that nobody would ever know. But you know, really, the realisation of, okay, like, what do I need to change here? And it's back to me again. It's back to myself, and what can you do about it? And the only thing that I changed, first and foremost, I stopped completely. I gave myself a complete break from everything. I took 3 days away from the programme. Really grateful for Michael and Fern for holding the fort and hosting the recordings of the videos and all that kind of good stuff for the meditations in the morning time, as well as everything else that was going on. And I really kind of disappeared for, I think it was about 3 days. Would be the week before last, and it was fantastic just getting a break. I didn't want to come back, I'll be honest with you. I enjoyed it so much. I had really some nice time for myself. I had a break from all things vortex, more or less. Obviously a lot of contemplation as to, you know, identify why it wasn't working, why it wasn't working for me, because, you know, I need to be happy, I need to be joyful, I need to be easy, it needs to be fun. The stuff that I'm teaching is all about that, so if I'm not doing it, then you can't expect anybody else to do it. And then the effect that has on other people, your immediates, obviously, the family, and then the people that are doing about this work every single day. There's no hiding place for me, because people are seeing me live every single day, especially with online stuff. You know, so at that point, you know, I had to stop and get my shit together and really decide how I was going to do it. And it was an absolute blessing. I took 3 days, much contemplation, and, you know, right, okay, we dust ourselves down and we go again. And since I came back, the bug came just on the back of that, which wasn't ideal. But again, it was almost like, you know, taking your time before you get back up to speed again. I'm still not back up to speed, truth be told. I'm getting there now. I'm starting to get back into my flow. But the way that I've done it, and the way that I've, you know, took responsibility, that ability to respond for myself, and nothing else, you know, forget everybody else and everything else, just to get it for yourself first and foremost. That has been, it's been like miraculous how quick things have turned around, even just over the last few days. There's a momentum, there's a kind of a momentum that builds up. There's a lag between actually making the decision and then the good stuff coming to fruition. I see that a lot, you know, where people get on about this work and they expect it to happen really, really quickly. And some of them, it's been a lifetime of just decimation. And they come here and they get one experience, they get through the breath work, or, you know, they maybe get into the cold, or, you know, they experience the meditation that we're giving people. And, you know, it's like life changing, literal miracles. I saw it again today, a literal miracle, a confirmed miracle, you know, just how this stuff goes together. And then when you go again, when you go and try and get it for yourself, then it isn't that easy. In fact, it can be really difficult, and it's easy to kind of lose your way a wee bit. And, you know, for me, the lag of the first 3 days, which was fairly horrible, so I took all of the addictions out of my life, any negative addiction, between the caffeines and the sugar, and changed my diet again. You know, really, my diet's pretty good most of the time. So like processed sugar, all that kind of stuff, you know, the poisons, as much processed food as I can. The juicer and the blender, I've been on 24/7. kind of doubled up with the organic bananas and the pink pitaya for the liver, and just kind of cleansing myself without going on any fast or any diet or any restriction. Really, as a medical medium, has taught me to use food as a medicine. And I've just kind of taken my time. There's been a few baths, there's been a few, no long lies, but there's been a few kind of second sleeps during the day. One day last week I slept for over 2 hours, just listening to Joe Dispenza, doing some breath work during the day, absolutely done in. I still worked before it and after it, but taking time to myself, just because I needed it, because it felt like I needed it. And the way that it's unfolded, how quick things have turned around over the last few days is just incredible. It's been like miraculous for me watching it unfold, and a lot of the stuff I've not even shared with the inner circle. A lot of the stuff that's happening just now with the vortex, as a direct result of what I've done for myself, how I'm tending to myself, what I'm expecting with this work, with this life experience, with the manifestations and the things that are coming into my life. How quick it has happened, and the scale of what's unfolding has been incredible. And now here, ready to go, feeling like I'm starting to prepare we're absolutely just about to hit autumn, and then winter coming up. If you'd have said to me a couple of weeks ago the thought of winter coming up, I'm kind of dreading it a wee bit still. It's been a lack of sunlight, there's been a lot of rain this year in Scotland, which has been a bit of a challenge, and then the thought of the next, whatever it is, 6, 7, 8, 9 months of the winter season, the proper winter season, with the greyness and the coldness and the dampness, which is the hardest part for me, and the lack of sunlight is huge. I wasn't looking forward to it, but again, over the last kind of 2 or 3 days, things have changed absolutely massively. And there's a few different reasons for that. Number one, what's run about me. That's been the biggest challenge. First and foremost, I took care of myself. I got myself back into alignment. But then when I actually start to see through fresh eyes what is it that's going on about me, I am so blessed just now. We are so blessed just now in terms of the vortex and the people that run about it. The inner circle, absolutely. There's a core of, there could be 10, 15 people now, a core group of individuals, probably 8, 9, 10 of them are looking to get involved in it in terms of helping the vortex in all sorts of different ways, which is really exciting. And just for me, I've never ever had that. I've always kind of felt as if I've done it myself. I've formed groups in the past which almost end up in tears every single time. Normally people come around about it and then they start second guessing what it is that I'm doing. They become the coach, and they form these kind of allegiances with each other. And if somebody, the tough love that I do dish out through these practices, this program, some people don't like it, and at that point in the past the group has been blown up, but this time feels very, very different. It's adults that have appeared this time, and it's people that are serious and need to do the work but are ready to do the work as well. And the work that I put into myself over the last, it's been the last couple of weeks now, and the way that I'm feeling just now, in terms of the freedom that I feel, the ease that I feel, the joy is coming back. The happiness is definitely there, but the joy is coming back. The inspiration feels as if it's back inside me, which was missing for a wee bit. It was a wee bit of work for a wee while there, but that's all coming back. And when I came back with fresh eyes and basically a clear head and an open heart, and which was so grateful for what we've created this year since January time with Michael and Fern, with the programme and all the stuff that I mentioned. But now the people, I think on the back of the ceremony retreat, 15 of us went away, 11 people went through the ceremony weekend, and what's happened to them since we've been back, and we've got a live group meditation every single morning for the programme members, so 5:30 every morning, 5:30 to normally 6:30. It's normally about an hour, which is guided breath work. The music's on the background, it's done through Zoom. I'm normally talking for the first anything from 5 minutes up until sometimes in the Wednesday morning, which is more emphasis on the breath work. I can be speaking for 30 minutes, sometimes 40 minutes. But the stuff that I've been talking about in terms of what to expect in the meditation, what the experiences you should be getting, what's available to you. When people come in, they maybe get a wee glimpse of it on the first time, when they get out of your head and switch off the stress, which can be a miracle. When you turn your head off, when you actually switch off the noise in your head, and then the way that I do is I take people back into their heart and back into their feelings and back into their emotions and the reconnection process, back into how we're supposed to feel, who we really are and all that we really are. That's the steps that I take That can be miraculous for some people. But a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about in terms of my experiences with spirituality, it sounds amazing. I can imagine it sounds great, but at the same time, a lot of them in the past have never ever got to that place. And I know since the ceremony weekend, and this is off the back of, for many of them, some have been coming for years, some have been coming for 5-6 years now. And this year, with the support of the programme, the group meditations every morning, Monday to Friday, 5:30, which is that's now expanded. I'll talk about that in a wee minute, but what's happening there, which is just, it's absolutely beautiful. But the online, the Telegram group, and the chat that's forming, which is all towards this intentional life, all towards self-realisation, all towards self-reliance, like getting it for yourself so you don't get it from anywhere else. The kingdom of the divine is inside of us, and how you're able to tap into that, and then the experiences that I've got in the past, and the experiences that I continue to get on different levels every single day. When we came back from the ceremony, there was probably 6 or 7 people who had, in their words, direct experience of the divine, whatever that means to you. God, for me, and what God is certainly not the God that I grew up with, in terms of my God sat on a throne with a Celtic strip on. That was my God, a big white beard. Our God reigns. That's one of the hymns. I always used to wonder about the Prodigy's God, the Rangers' God, what's their God, and different religions as well. But our God reigned. Our Catholic God was the main man. And this episode, number 22, is called FullGod. That's what it's all about, because, and I'll explain that, what FullGod means to me, and what I've done over the last couple of weeks. When you go through what I went through, those 17, 18 years of work on myself, that devotional, intentional process to experience enlightenment, that was my plan. The Buddha says, once you hear the word enlightenment, nothing else will ever do. And that was my plan, was to become enlightened. I had no idea what it meant or how I was going to get there. The time that it took, the tears and the snotters and the healing journey that took place, the first probably 10 years, all the different holistic modalities, whether it was energy work or different healers, or listening to yogis, practicing yoga, obviously the meditation, which was every single day, has been every single day for the last 27 probably years now, 26, 27 years now, every single day. When I got what I got, and I experienced what I got in those meditations, when I came back from it, and the realisation of the divinity that's inside me, things became really challenging after it, especially when I came back. For the first couple of years, it was so dull. Life became very dull. Carlos Castaneda, I heard this through Wayne Dyer, he used to talk about the numbing effects of daily awareness, and that was certainly something that I had to deal with, and I still deal with it. I was in Glasgow yesterday, and let me tell you, we are in deep trouble when you see the nicky people and the condition of human beings. The state that we're in physically, which if you don't know how to deal with that, then the rest of the stuff isn't going to matter. But the numbing effects that I went through, those first couple of years, and trying to navigate my way, through life, having this enlightened experience, the reconnection back to the divine, becoming everything, becoming the field of consciousness and experiencing universal consciousness. It felt like, to me, that's what I went through. That's my truth. And then when I came back, just kind of, not quite just back to being Jim, because that version of Jim was completely gone. But the going to work and the dealing with the dramas and the stress and the noise and all that kind of stuff was obviously a huge challenge. Anybody that's been through similar will know what I'm talking about. It becomes very, very difficult and very mundane. Normal reality, the normal stuff, things like watching TV now, things like the news and newspapers and the dramas and all the stuff that occupies people, things like football matches, none of that stuff has meant anything to me, probably since I came back in 1996. But once I really got it, once I really experienced the divine, then there's really two different ways of living. It's Wayne Dyer again, we would talk about, are you a human being having a spiritual experience, or are you a spiritual being who's come in, have a human experience, and I understand that now, because I now know the divine essence that's inside me, and I also know at the same time that this vessel, Jim McFadyen, that the human being that's going through this, that isn't who I really am, and isn't what I am. But at the same time, for this time, and this bit that we're in this reality, that's the way that I get to go through it. It's kind of like the garage for the soul, and you get to kind of do both. And for me, with this work, I made a deal a long time ago. literally with the divine, that basically, you know, I offered up my services to be a channel for this work, to help where I could. Once I got it for myself, once I really got it for myself, and I mastered myself, I mastered my feelings and my emotions, and obviously the enlightened experience that I went through. When I came back from that, then the desire was to give it to as many people as possible. That's always been my intention, to give it to people, or at least to show them the path. I have tried to sell it to people in the past and give it to them. That doesn't work. But to provide, you know, through my own work, which hopefully is to inspire people. That's the plan with it. And then when people ask, then, you know, offer the tools and the techniques that I used that enabled me to get to this place that I would call enlightenment, the direct experience of the divinity that's inside each and every one of us. I'm no different from anybody else. I just spent 17, 18 years every single day, and I got it. When I came back, I knew that it must be in everybody, because I'm just a dude, I'm just a guy, I was fitting windows and building houses at the time. I'm just that guy. So if I can do it, and everything that I'd been through and everything that I'd done in my lifetime, then it's available to everybody. That's what I knew. You know, so when I came back, you know, the boredom and the struggles and the stress and the strain was absolutely real, hugely challenging. But what I found was, you know, when I really devoted myself, which in the beginning was probably a bit difficult, because it's like when you reach your goal, and this has probably still been detrimental to me. When I reached that place that it took me 17, 18 years to get to, every single day, I mean, there wasn't a single day, there still isn't, I've never missed a day yet, but, you know, when you're trying to achieve something and then you actually get it, when you come back, you know, it's like, all right, okay. And it's happened a couple of times since, sitting in meditation. I've had the experience where, you know, you become the light, you become the divine, or at least it becomes you. Jim disappears. And you see through the veil, and you experience everything, that universal consciousness, the field, you know, the God, some people would call it. But when you get that, and then you come back, it's like, right, okay, so what's the point? You know, what else is there? You know, at that point, not that you're looking forward to dying, but death holds no fear for you. You know, and you kind of look forward to it a wee bit, because this is really challenging just now. So at that point, you know, what do you do? And it's easy to fall into, you know, the traps of just going, okay, like, F it, you know, and you start to go down a different path, which has never been destructive for me, but it's never been, or it certainly wouldn't have been at the time when I was on that devotional journey every single day. And, you know, now the stage that I'm at with this work and the programme and all the work that I'm doing, which when you look at it and you kind of, you know, when you break it down, what is it I'm actually doing here? The plan is to reconnect people back to themselves, you know, back to the true self, back into their hearts and back into their souls, the direct experience of not who they are. You know, so many people, and I ask that all the time, like, do you know who you are? And the question really should be, do you know what you are? Because once this disappears, once we reconnect back into the self, into the heart, into the, you know, into the soul, then we get to experience something that so few people could even contemplate or even know exists to be real. I was like that as well. I had no idea that what I'm doing now was even a thing when I was growing up. I mean, it's like, it sounds like madness. Maybe okay for some yogi or a saint or any that kind of stuff, but for a normal guy who was interested in football and a couple of pints and, you know, and doing that kind of thing, then it's like, it's a different world. And, you know, the way for me to get back out of it, I find myself in a position where I've got a choice just now. I can't do both, you know, so I can either be Jim, so Jim would have a coffee, or I'd have a bit of dark chocolate with it, or there would be some processed sugar in there, or whatever it is, you know, just like the ego, the lower self, you know, the pleasures of this world, and I have no desires for anything. I don't want anything, you know, the toys and none of that stuff, that means nothing to me. But you know, the human experience, you know, I suffer from mental health, absolutely, you know, the struggles and the stresses and the strains. I struggle from physical health, absolutely, you know, the physical pain that my body can be in almost every single day. God bless the cold, and grateful for the cold. So there's the human being Jim-ness, you know, the worry, the fear, the anxieties, the stresses, the strains, no sleeping too well, you know, and then off the back of that, you know, probably eating not properly, spending my time in ways that, you know, a lot of the time it's distraction, and that never ever goes too well. And when I say it like that, nobody would ever know. You know, I'm still on the path. Every single thing that I do is towards this work, but at the same time I would try to do both at the same time, and I can get away with it to a certain extent. But what I know and what I've learned in the past is that when I go the other way and I devote my life all in to God, to the divine, in terms of service through inspiration, then it's black and it's white, because that other way is the ego and the lower self. That is Jim. But the other way of doing things, in alignment with the divine, and allowing it to come through you, to be in spirit, to be inspired. When I do it that way, then everything changes so fast and in ways that you couldn't even make up. The challenge that I have with that is because it's almost too much for me. Me as a physical human being, it becomes too much. Again, my teacher Brian, the acupuncturist, who's had similar experiences, possibly even greater than I've experienced, I would imagine. But he would say you need to be very careful with spirit, because it'll have you working like 30 hours a day, 8 days a week. And he's right, because when I'm in the flow and I'm in the service mode in terms of for God, to serve God, to serve the light, to bring in the solutions, to help people, to bring the answers, which the intention of that is to basically heal the world. It's to bring the world back on an even keel. And by God, do we need it after what I saw in Glasgow yesterday? We are in a dire state. With so few answers out there, there are no many solutions. And when you feel and know, as I do, what the solutions are, and you're working towards those solutions every single day, it will take you over, and it takes you to a place very, very quickly where it becomes almost too much for me. I normally get about a month at it, where it's like 7 days a week. And the way that will manifest is like almost every single waking thought, and opportunities to help people, opportunities to step into situations, and bring in these tools and techniques. That's what it's for. It's for helping people. The reconnection process is a reconnection back into you, back into how it's meant to be, how you're meant to feel. That's a spiritual practice. That's a spiritual process. So that can absolutely take me out very, very quickly. And that's kind of where I find myself on that path just now, but I'm doing it in a different way. This time feels very, very different. For some reason, maybe it's the age that I'm at, maybe it's the stage that I'm at, maybe I've realised once and for all that, I can only do it one way. One of my biggest worries is that I get to stand before God, and she asks me, did you do your best? And at that point you can't lie, because she'll know, and that's my thing just now. Like, the clock is absolutely ticking with this work, with the programme, with the tools and the techniques that I'm trying to take to the world. The clock is ticking, and for me to do my best every single day to fulfil my potential in this lifetime, it needs to be FullGod. So when I'm saying FullGod, that's what it means. It's like everything that I'm doing, the devotional life is towards the divine. Probably 99.9%. Yeah, I gave myself probably 0.1% just to still be Jim and the human being, absolutely. But when I do that, then things just change in ways that I can't even imagine. The evidence is showing up every single day. I've taken full responsibility, and I'm now on the programme. I'm on my own programme. It's easy to sell the programme, and I've been there in the past when I got that enlightened experience. What I had to do in terms of the devotional disciplines, the diet is a huge thing. You can't be eating shite and expect the light. You just can't. It doesn't work. The stresses and the strains from mental health and the traumas and all that kind of stuff. To get beyond all of that first, and the work that I had to do, which was intense, really, really intense. But once I got it and had the experience of it, obviously when you come off it, now what it's going to take to get back there again, it's kind of like, I've already got it. Why would I want to do it again? I know that it's already there. I know that when I die, I'm going to get back to it. I know that through my mum. She's in spirit. I can feel where she is, so it's all good. There's nothing to be afraid of. But to do that level of work again, to get back to that same place, and obviously there's levels beyond that, there's no question about that. And I didn't get lazy, but this phase for me has been about teaching. This last 6 or 7 years, I've taken the 17, 18 years where I basically learned all the stuff, that I was able to put together and work my way through the many 5-dimensional, 7-dimensional mazes on so many different levels, the healing and the traumas and the releasing, the forgiving, and then the transcendence and the healing and all that kind of good stuff that just came in, and the life lessons that I got for myself. That the intention is to pass it on. That's what it's all about. Once I got it for myself, the intention is to pass it on to other people so that they can get it. That's what I've been doing for the last 6 or 7 years. And when the cold exposure came through and the real learning to breathe properly came through, they were like the final pieces, because it switches off the nervous system. It gets you out of your head, it stops you thinking. again, Brian, my teacher, he's everywhere just now, today anyway. One of the things he said to me was that the divine comes right down through your crown. I believe the divine comes down and through these, we experience it in these higher energy centres. And if this is busy, if this is active, if this is in a state of like stress or fight and flight and worry and survival, then, and if you're in your head all the time, if you're struggling in that place of like chronic inflammation within your brain, like that never-ending figure eight loop, then you can't experience this. And that's the intelligence of the heart and the intelligence of the soul. So if this is active, which some people might believe that's why they try and keep us in our head in this information age. I am all about the inspiration age, getting us out of our heads and reconnecting us back into our hearts. So when I discovered that the cold and the breath work in particular, that was really the bridge to get us out of this. And then because of my spiritual experience, what I'd gained for myself, then the plan has always been to reconnect people back into their hearts, back into their souls. And for the last 6 or 7 years, that's all I've been doing. It's basically teaching people and helping people with the spiritual practices. I'm not about personal development's part of it. Obviously it is, but personal development, when you think about that, it's all about getting money, being successful, being the man, setting your goals, like fucking jumping up and down in a trampette, calorie restriction diets, like fasting, like just to be the best that you can be. And I hate motivation. Motivation doesn't work. You just need to look at the New Year's resolutions to see how well that goes. But I love inspiration, and this is all about inspiration. And that's really been the program's been about this year, is about trying to document all the stuff that I've learned, which isn't easy, trying to explain this stuff in words, let me tell you. I am now, I'm back on writing the program. I stopped it when the turn of the year when Michael and Fern came on the scene. I basically stopped writing the programme. I was probably 13,000 words in at the time. I'd finished the book, which is Darkness to Light. I'm holding that back just now. That's going to come at the right time. That's not ready to go yet. But off the back of that, I believed I was going to go and write the programme, which at the time there was 90 different things that I basically teach and I've learned along the way. A lot of them are original to me. It's a fantastic system. It's an entire system. It's a vast system. That affects everything and everything matters, so there's so many bits to it. And I thought I was going to just go away and write basically the programme and then finish the programme, have the book, have the programme, and then after that, the plan was then to then go and kind of do this kind of stuff and then take it to the world. That was the plan. So the book was almost done and dusted. That just needs final edit. That's about ready to go. Then I'd write the programme. And then when Michael and Fern came in, and how quick that basically developed, whereby the stuff that I was teaching, the decision was made to, instead of having to go and write the book and edit it and put it out there and all the hard work that's involved in that, why don't you just start teaching the programme? That's what came through very, very quickly. And that's what's happened. So we basically, with the use of the video, I was doing it anyway and I was talking about it every single day. So we started capturing videos. We started basically documenting different parts of the programme. And the programme was created very, very quickly. Inside a couple of weeks, we had probably 100 hours worth of videos between the recordings and the information and the links to the different teachers that I've learned along the way, the stuff that's helped me. And very quickly the programme became a thing, and then after maybe 2 or 3 months, then the decision was made to basically launch the programme. That happened back in February time of this year, so it's probably 6-7 months that the programme's been live. And the intention with it was to create not really an online community. That's the way that it's developing, the bigger it's getting and the further afield that people are coming in from. But the idea was to create like a community where people of like-minded souls could come in, because for years and years people would come to these experiences, whether it was a Friday night in, whether it was a big kind of Breathe and Believe, the free stuff that I did over the years, and they would leave a different human being. The stress was switched off. They've reconnected back into themselves. They remember what it feels like to feel good and to feel, the goodness that's inside them. And then the way I would explain it is because we come from, the divine, which is only goodness. We carry it inside of us, absolutely. When we die, we go back to it. So, nothing to learn. It's all about remembering. That's absolutely what I believe. We remember who we are because it's always there. But then at the same time, there was really nowhere to go with that. They would leave and they'd basically be left on their own. God bless them, the amount of people, thousands and thousands of people, especially for free. They would go to these free events, then they go back into their houses and just, I can imagine them walking through the doors back into their partners like get the dinner on. You know, you can just imagine it, and people walking in, especially most of them were women, and getting back into these environments with these males, a lot of them alpha males, I can imagine, and just like nothing makes sense. You know, it's a different world. So now the support network within the programme, and as well as it, I don't know how many hours of videos, there could be 200-300 hours, maybe more than that online now within the programme itself. And you know, this year, in the way that it's unfolded in terms of, you know, the desire to create something online, create this community online, which we've done. I think back to January time and the amount of work that we have created and where it is just now. And you know, and it's daily, it's every single day. So I'm live 7 days a week last week. It's normally 6 days a week, and the Saturday morning is a recording. Michael O'Fern will host one of the tracks, one of the music that I use for the meditation. But Monday to Friday, 5:30, normally until 6:30 minimum. And then a Sunday night, Sunday service. The best week ever starts the Sunday night before, you know, so preparing your vibration for the week ahead. So Sunday night, and then basically 5 days a week. As well as all the other stuff, you know, that has been something that has been absolutely incredible. You know, the people that are getting on about it. And I think since we came back for the ceremony, now that people are really starting to feel what I'm talking about in meditation, over this last couple of weeks, what I would find is, because I would get a notification the minute I turn my phone on in the morning time, I could see who had joined the Zoom call. It's an open Zoom that's on every single morning. And I would see, and it would be, the name would come up, and it was like 4:45. I'm normally in here 5:05 for the 5:30 class starting live every morning. So I'm preparing for that. I'm working at 5:30 every morning. But I would start to see these notifications of like people joining the Zoom class, and then since the ceremony over the last couple of weeks, you know, the notifications, the time on it is obviously time stamped. It's getting earlier and earlier, you know. So now what we've got this morning, 3:15. I was up for just after a back of 3 this morning, which has always been my time. I've been called out of bed for the last 26, 27, whatever it is, you know, since the late 90s. I've been called out of bed to go and sit in meditation and reconnect with God, reconnect to the divine, and get into spirit and get my answers for the day. But that's been a solo journey. I've done that on my own for all these years. And now when I wake up, you know, it's, especially the last kind of probably 3 or 4 days, to see those people sitting, and what's basically happening is people are just going in and they're sitting in silence, and they're basically catching sometimes 2 hours, 2.5 hours meditation, sitting in silence, listening to the recordings that's on the programme group before the live recording starts every morning. So now what I've started doing is, because I had to try and find a way to get my own time in before the work began. Because the minute I'm online, obviously there's music involved, some I'm on Tidal, some that's done live most of the time in terms of one track at a time. Sometimes I'll play an entire playlist or an album, but most of the time it's one track at a time. But you know, the time before that, the space before that was always my time, the time to myself, which is missing for the last year, probably the last 3 months that's been missing, which is why I come off the rails. I wasn't tending to myself, I wasn't getting with myself every single day the way that I had been previously, the last quarter century. You know, so now what's now developed is in the morning time before the class begins to sit in silence and sit in meditation. This morning I switched on the computer, I think there was 4 people sitting already waiting on me. It might be yesterday morning. This morning was a couple sitting waiting on me, and you know, just sitting in silence with the cameras on so you can see each other. And there's something that happens when you get through this work with people. There's a connection that's made. Obviously we know each other physically, but when you get through, like say a ceremony weekend, when people go through that kind of work, when you go through, you know, the deep healing work that a lot of people are going through, which I'm obviously privy to because, you know, I'm the coach within it. I'm the one that's guiding them through it. To help them find their relief and their healing. When you get through all of that, then there's a connection at a heart and a soul level, which is easy for me to understand, but now, you know, listening to them, the ones within the group, and the numbers are just increasing every single day. This morning there was 24 on it, and nobody leaves. That's the thing. I'm speaking for maybe 5-10 minutes maximum now, so just a bit of gentle breath work, functional breathing into the intentional breath, and then we reconnect back into that. So people are now really getting what it's all about. And nobody's leaving, you know. And what I've heard a few times is, especially the ones that are in early, they'll be sitting on their own in pitch black, just with the screen on, whether it's the iPad or the phone, however they're getting the Zoom to come through, and they can actually feel when somebody comes in and joins in. I felt it this morning as people were joining in from probably at a back of 4 onwards, maybe 4:30, people were starting to join. By probably 4:45, there must have been 7 or 8 people sitting in meditation, sitting in silence, waiting for the 5:30 meditation, which is just incredible because To experience is to understand. That's a great quote that I use. I don't even know where I got that, but you need to experience it. Like, talk is cheap, it doesn't. You can't. Wayne Dyer said you can't get wet for the word water. You need to experience. You need to dive in and feel what the water feels like. And that's what meditation's like. The amount of people that basically just sit with their eyes shut and they're trying to experience peace of mind, or they're trying to escape. And for me, meditation, I'm tapping into as Abraham Hicks would say, you're literally tapping into the energy that creates worlds when you're tapping into spirit. So that shouldn't be a quiet process. Every single thing that I do, all the inspiration that comes through me, all the work that I do, the poems, the kind of the programs that I create, the workshops that I create, no matter what it is, that all comes in meditation. It all comes from me sitting in silence. Another great quote, God's one and only voice is silence. I sat in silence for 17, 18 years. I got all my answers in silence, just nothingness, no guided relaxation, none of that stuff. It was just me sitting in silence every single day with the intention to connect to the divine, and everything came through it in that place. So when people are coming in and they're now getting it, they're now experiencing what I've been talking about, obviously that's great, because up to this point, the faith just in me and the truth that I'm speaking, my own truth, and talking about what I've been through, you can see people now, and even, they're now saying to me, I get it, I know what you're talking about, I understand, and they're starting to understand the poems and the posts and the language, obviously, a lot more, the more you get on about it. Once you come into this work, then there's an education process. I had to learn over a long period of time. I can only imagine people that are watching it online and seeing me talking about consciousness and the divine mind and God and union and coherence and alignment and being in the flow. It's like, I get it. In fact, there's my first, went to a podcast a couple of weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, with Sean Toll from Social Session. Congratulations, Sean, the babby. I hope you're all well. Love to you as well, brother. Beautiful work. The picture's absolutely beautiful. God bless his soul. And it's coming out this weekend. And I'm thinking about people that are watching that and looking at me, talking about enlightenment and talking about God and talking about my journey and what I've been through. And that's my truth. That is all a truth to me. And I have been on both sides of the fence. I was a joiner out in building sites that was eating 4 rolls and sausage for my breakfast, and I bought Lyron brew and a cream cake that you could hardly lift. That was my life. That's where I started. Getting wrecked in the pubs and just a clown. Just the C word, a clown. That's where I was. Just ignorance, that low level of consciousness. That's where I started. I'm just a guy. Just one of the guys. So when I'm talking about it, as I was on Sean's podcast, and now that it's starting just about to come out, I'm going, oh, here we go. 'Cause I can still feel it. I can still feel, what people's take is going to be on it and the judgment they're going to get, because they don't know what I'm talking about. You need to experience it. To experience it is to understand it. And for me, me speaking my truth, the stuff that I've been through, the stuff that I talk about, all the different things and the different, ways that I've learned to heal myself through all this work, it then gives other people permission. Especially with the heavy stuff and the stuff that you're not meant to talk about, all that kind of stuff, then it gives people permission to go, you know what, that kind of happened to me as well, and I can then go, right, well, here's what I did to get beyond that. And the thing for me, and this is where, this work, this is why now I'm kind of probably taking responsibility, and this is why the FullGod thing, and even this morning, I woke up at 3 o'clock this morning. I was going to do this podcast at 3 o'clock this morning because I woke up in such a good place. I was sleeping for 9 o'clock last night. I probably had 5.5 hours sleep, maybe 6 hours sleep. By 3 o'clock I was buzzing, and every single thing that I wanted to say, because I was in spirit. I went to bed in spirit. I woke up, I had a fantastic dream. I woke up just in such a good place with like so much inspiration coming through me, and I was going to come down and hit the button, and if I hadn't had to set it up, then I probably would have done that, and I was working at 5:30 with the programme, but the work itself and what I'm actually doing, I need to take responsibility for that, because if I don't go full in with it, then, it's a mixed message. And what I'm literally selling to anybody who's interested, I do believe it's a solution, and it fixes everything, the solution. And that solution is a direct experience of all that you are. It's reconnection back to the divine. It's the divinity that we carry inside of us. That's what this work is all about. All the other stuff, all the different things within the programme, all the tools and the techniques and the modalities and the awarenesses to see what you're doing to yourself, and what they're trying to do to you, how intention works in terms of being this powerful force. When you understand the power of intention and how when you bring it into your life, how miracles can start to happen. And then when you get into alignment, to be in alignment, to be in spirit, to be inspired, and to be in that flow of all that you are, that's a truth to me. And the people now that are around about me, maybe this is why I'm now starting to kind of take more responsibility for it, because more and more people, normal people that are in the programme, boys club, between electricians, floor layers, carpet fitters, businessmen, plumbers, just normal guys, and they're getting the exact same stuff that I was able to pick up along the way. And at that point, the fact that they're now standing beside me and understanding what I'm talking about, maybe that's given me a bit more confidence to go, you know what, I don't really care where they are. The C word, which is clown. Clowns in the circus, low levels of consciousness, Celtic, Rangers, booze, Love Island, the Daily Record, fighting, truthers, pro this, anti that, let's pick a side, let's fight. That to me is a circus. Nothing gets fixed to that level of consciousness. And the challenges we face in the world just now, I'm not going to say there's nothing fixes it, because I do believe, in fact I know that this fixes it. And I know the way that it fixes it. The way fixes it. But the steps that's required to enable people to go on that journey, so many people are not going to get it. It's such a low level, and they're stuck within their environment. They're stuck with their traumas that they've picked up because of their environment. The separation game, as I call it, separated from the way that it's meant to be. The minute you come into this world, you're born into poverty, and you're born into chaos and stress and strain and fighting, before you even look at the medications and the school system and abuse and what's run about you in terms of if you've got parents that have families that have split up, and mommy's working 2 and 3 jobs, dads that are who knows, when you're in that level of stress, which is a place of survival, that's a literal jungle, that's like a zoo, so if you're born into that environment and that's your whole life experience, then to try and understand that there's a different way of doing it, there's obviously not a lot of trust in that. But for me, there always is a way. It doesn't matter, what somebody's coming in with, and I do believe that it fixes everything. I spoke to Sean on the podcast. He's obviously, because of his story and what he went through, serving, the sentence that he did, wrongly accused, and what he went through, and the challenges that he faced, and the people that he met in that environment, being in jail. And the question, probably more off camera, and the 3 or 4 times Sean's been here a few times now, and he's like a personal friend to me now. But the conversations we've had about what can you do about that environment? How do you make it better? And for some people you can. Some people that are in prison you just can't. Some people are just too far gone. Some people are just bad. Whatever's happened to them, there's no way back. It's as simple as that. But for those like Sean and many, many others, I would imagine, that are in that environment, even people that have done horrendous things, a lot of them is because of what's happened to them, and the environment they found themselves in. They're good people. We all are when we come into this world. I do believe. Life gets in the way and it can separate you from that. But for those, if there's any kind of ray or possibility of light, if there's any chink in the armour, and there's a possibility, number one, they need to be interested in it. They need to be the desire to make it better. But if that was the case, the possibility, to not just rehabilitate somebody, but to get somebody back and get them back into society as a valued member. And the way that takes place, is by teaching them the processes, teaching them how breathwork takes place, teaching them how cold exposure takes place to switch off the stress. One of the things I say to Sean, it might even be on the podcast, what would you do in the prisons? Well, cold exposure, I'd have a cold shower in every yard outside. I'd have a cold bath, especially up here in Scotland in the winter time, and I would make it normal to learn how to breathe properly and to learn how to meditate by explaining what meditation is. It's no some pussy thing where you're basically sitting like with flowers running about your neck, none of that kind of stuff. It's to reconnect back to the divine, so who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want to feel better? So something as basic as that in those environments, the ability to switch off stress, the ability to basically turn it off through breathwork, relaxation, cold exposure, to normalise that. And then obviously those who own the prisons, whether it's private or the government, whether they want people to be reformed. For the private institutions, you hear that all the time in America, how it's a business, and the amount of people that are doing ridiculous amounts of time in jail for just bullshit. And it happens here as well, no doubt. The prisons, a couple of prisons up here that are private, do they really want, people to be rehabilitated and back into society and back onto the streets? When it's a customer, it's kind of like the pharmaceuticals and the pills and the medication and the healthcare. It's like they want you sick. They want you to basically get through your life, so that they're basically creating a customer for the rest of the days. The jail system's the exact same. So for me, this way of doing things, this process, this program that I've created, every single thing that it touches, no matter what it is, will get better. All it takes is an open heart, an open mind, a desire to make things better, which normally comes on the back of almost losing it all. The pain and the suffering and the decimation, the contrast is a great place. Abraham Hicks, contrast, is such a good thing. The ability to see something that isn't working for you, and then through this gift that we have, which is called free will, the ability then to make it better. And that's a challenge, because most people don't know how to make it better. And most people, they get medicated, or they'll end up in some therapist and they're talking about their childhood trauma, which makes it worse. They end up sitting in these recovery rooms talking about how much a sea they used to be, how horrible they were, the pain that they've caused. So you're basically reigniting the story. And really, because of the awareness that I picked up along the way, and how I made things better, which was through direct experience of all that I am, as well as all the other stuff, having basic awarenesses as to where you spend your time, what you're thinking about, whether it's on the problem or the solution. We spend so much time on the problem. We spend almost all our time with the problem. That's my challenge with people like Brand and Rogan and whoever it is, whether it's they're the other C word as far as I can see, but it's like all the focus is on the problem, all the focus is on the challenges, all the focus is where it's going wrong and who's doing what to them, and who do we blame, whether it's the politicians, who's going to fix it for us. And let me tell you, that isn't going to happen. I laughed the last time, I didn't even know the election was on. I was dropping my van off to get serviced, and it said polling station. I asked my brother and my dad if there was an election on. They both laughed. But was that a couple of months ago? Because to me it doesn't matter. I've been watching it my whole life, like who comes in, watching America, seeing America just now, this big fight to see it. Who cares? It doesn't matter. They're just puppets as far as I can see. Nothing's going to change. So for the change to take place, the way that it happens en masse, one soul at a time every single day. It's that 100th monkey effect. That's what I'm trying to get to. And the reconnection process that takes place within yourself, when you start to live from a place the way it's meant to be, and you start to feel how you're meant to feel, and you start to sleep how you're supposed to sleep, and you get peace of mind, and you experience meditation. So somebody takes you through a guided meditation and reconnects you back into your heart and explains what God actually is, and your connection to it, and the power within it, and how it's actually inside you. As above, so below is absolutely literal. The kingdom of God is within you, again, is literal. Hidden within the Bible, I do believe. It's like you start to see this stuff and you're going, all right, okay, so maybe, be still and know that I am God. That's a cracker, because I grew up with that in the Catholic faith. And what it felt like was like God was talking to me, like God's saying to me, like, be okay because I am God. And it's like this kind of stuff, saying your prayers and your rosary beads every single night, praying to this vending machine in the sky to get you a new pair of Fitbit boots or whatever it is, trying to heal you. And that's not what God is. The divinity is inside every single one of us. So to give the direct experience of that, which I know how to do, I really do. I saw it again today, the reconnection back into the self. Miracles take place. I see miracles every single day by the reconnection process back to the self. So when we do that with ourself first and foremost, only then can we reconnect with each other. Only then can we then start to rebuild the families and the communities, and then, the environment, your country, and then the world. So the intention is absolutely to heal the world. There is no question about it. It's a full-time job. I am absolutely loving it. It is one soul at a time. I don't believe it's going to take that many. I'm absolutely the optimist. Power over force. Abraham Hicks says one person in alignment, which just means to be in alignment with the divine, is more powerful than millions who are not. So for me just now, I'm sitting in meditation, 20 odd people every single morning. In fact, the other night we had the experience online, which I'm going to talk about. In fact, I'll talk about it just now. The experience was just incredible. In case I forget, anybody that came in, the experience is a live, online, guided kind of snapshot. It's only an hour. It was about an hour and 15 minutes. I did run over, but it's basically a snapshot of what the program is every single day. So guided relaxation, breathwork, and then into meditation. We had 88 people on Tuesday night, and that's going to be every 2 weeks. It feels like that one was peace of mind. So to have 88 people, some left. I think we ended up with 78 at the end. But at the end there was still 78 people there, and some of the messages that came in, some of the experience, that's why it's called the experience. Talk is cheap. I can talk about it all day, as you can feel. I'm so passionate about it, but you need to experience it. To experience it is to understand it. And once you experience it, then your consciousness expands. And that reconnection process that took place for many of those souls the other night, I know what happens when they get back into the living room. I can feel it. We see it through the testimonials. Anybody who's any questions as to what this work actually does, go and look on Google and see what the testimonials are. See what normal people are actually experiencing with this work. So once you get it for yourself, then your families with each other, which can be a hug, or it can be an apology, or it can be forgiveness, depending on what you need. And at that point, then the house can get back into alignment. You're definitely different with your ways when you're on the flow. And then they start to see a different way. One of the biggest things is to break the chain so we don't pass it on to the children. That's a huge thing, because they're only going to pick up and do what you do. Simple as that. They're not going to do what you say. It's what you do and how you live your life. And that's picked up energetically as well. Of course it is. So the experience is going to be every couple of weeks. That's a huge part. Again, it's a free session. I love the free work. For 23 years it was all free. I basically gave it away because I was working still full time. Over the last couple of years it's been different. It's now professional, and the money that's required to take this to the world. So we're working on that just now, how we can basically take from those that have got it and then get it to those that don't, so that everybody wins. But the experience itself, and going through the experience and bringing that experience, that shift in consciousness back into your world, into your reality, even learning to breathe properly, the ability to switch off your nervous system, the ability to calm your mind. The other night was called Peace of Mind. That was the first one, Peace of Mind. Maybe that's why there was 88 people on it, because so many people are in this never ending, chronic stress figure 8 loop of question, answer, solution, question. It never ends. The conscious thinking mind, that's its job. That's the ego. The ego loves the drama, it loves the stress, it loves the noise. If you didn't have that, there'd be no ego. If you had complete peace of mind and a complete peace in your heart, then you get to start to transcend the ego. You start to see things from a different perspective. So the ceremony is going to be the experience is going to be every couple of weeks. The ceremony is a retreat, and that's really just for those who are serious about this work. We're releasing the dates. By the time this comes out, the dates will be released. It's going to be let me get this right, November the 8th till the 11th, so it's a Friday to the Monday. It's going to be 3 days up the west coast of Scotland. So excited. It's going to be limited to 12 places. There's going to be 6 places for programme members, and there's going to be 6 places for the general public. That's going to be marketed worldwide, so I expect that to fill up very quickly. Anybody that's interested in that, please get on about it. There's obviously, I hate saying this, early bird, I hate that saying, but there's basically incentives to sign up first and foremost, because once we sign up and get the group filled up, then the preparation begins with all the disciplines, and part of the ceremony package is going to be access to the programme. So there'll be a 6-month membership of the programme. There's no way I'm taking somebody into a weekend like that and everything that's going to come up without knowing breathwork, relaxation, meditation, cold exposure, awareness, intention, alignment, the entire programme. If you're going to get into something as deep as that, as deep as we go, then you need to know what you're all about, because most of the time it's for healing. It's a tool for healing the stuff that can't be fixed. So we're actively going in to the unconscious, into your heart, into your soul, and we're looking for it to come up. So when it does come up, you need to be prepared. And the ceremony is a reconnection back to the self, back into nature, back into the way it's meant to be, back into your true nature. And off the back, there's reels getting made just now, the video testimonials. There's been some that have been done. Some people are still reintegrating back into it, because life will never be the same ever again. They've experienced God, that's their words, they've experienced the divine, and they know that it's inside them, and they know that all their answers are inside them. So once the reels start to come out, the testimonials start to come out, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Video testimonial, one of the ladies within the programme, Pamela, thank you my darling, God bless you, 6 months, I think today, she's been on about the programme. She saw an advert online for the event, the 1 day to change your life, which I was down at New Lanark, and she basically followed her gut, and she'd been on a journey herself, but she came in and basically signed up for this 1 day to change your life, and she went through the ceremony weekend away, and watching her this morning, just being herself, speaking her truth, speaking from her heart, sitting there, no makeup, just honest truth, just being herself and speaking her truth, and the power that's in that When you talk about a picture being worth 1,000 words, video testimonials, when somebody speaks their truth and explains what this work is actually doing, that's how we take it to the world, because it's for everybody. We are all human beings. Doesn't matter your skin colour, doesn't matter what flag you stand under. We all come from the same place. And at a certain level, another thing I experienced with the enlightenment, the first enlightenment experience I went through, was the realisation that we are all one. At a certain level of consciousness, we are absolutely all one. So that's why I say brother and sister. At a certain level, we are absolutely in union with each other within the field. So really excited for that. So that's going to be November time, 8th to the 11th. Looking at possibly, maybe one before the new year, probably not. The next one after that will be the end of January. And at the same time, when Michael and Fern go on their travels, they're just about to hit Europe towards the end of, into autumn time. Then we're looking at absolutely at least one retreat abroad. So that's something that is really exciting me, being able to go to the sun and have some space in the sun and get a swim in the sea. And again, that's going to be a ceremony. That'll be another ceremony. It's probably going to be Portugal. We're looking at possibly the south of Spain, which is that will unfold as we go. So loads of good stuff going on just now. For me, dead simple, like getting in about it. If you're struggling, if you're suffering, there is absolutely a way. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's addiction, whether it's trauma, whether you're on a healing journey, whether you seek enlightenment, whether you're trying to make sense and survival. Everything gets better very, very quickly when you understand how this goes together, but more importantly when you experience it. And for me, what I've learned over the last couple of weeks, once you know how it goes together, then it's all about doing the work. It is all about doing the work. The work that I do every single day to myself, whether it's the breathing, relaxation, the meditation, the tending to myself, the awareness to see what I'm doing to myself, the looking after myself, whatever it is that puts a smile on my face, whatever it is that makes me happy. That's the work. The work is all about being happy. The work is all about being in alignment. The work is all about being joyful and being easy with your life and enjoying your life, which so few people are doing just now. And the way we do that is to get out of the head, and the intellect, and to reconnect back into the heart, back into the soul, to remember the power that's inside every single one of us. That's this work, that's the mission that I've signed up for. It is FullGod. It's FullGod just now. I'm going to see how long I can keep it going. I'm loving it just now. I've never felt better in a long time. I am absolutely blessed by the people that I stand beside. You know who you are. Thank you so much, every single one of you. We now have a sales and marketing team of 9 souls, including myself. I've got 35 years business experience. And there's probably 120 years of business experience within the group. To Michael and Fern, they're employees to a certain level. They get paid through the vortex. Every penny I've earned since January, more or less, has went towards them. But the other 6 souls, they're basically doing it in their own time. They want to be part of this mission, to go and help the world, to help their own children, to help themselves, because they're seeing the benefits within themselves. So it's starting to ramp up. It really is. All we need is a wee bit of probably dough to come in, like proper dough, which is going to come for the corporate world. Plan is to take it from them, and then use it to use this vehicle to then take it to the world, so we can help as many people as possible. Why? So we can basically get the world back to the way it's meant to be. So we can literally heal the world, one soul at a time, every single day, to get the world back to the way that it's meant to be. That's the mission. And that's why, it is FullGod. That's why I stand now and I go, you know what? Yoel Romero, who's one of my heroes from the UFC, he used to say he was a soldier of God. That was his kind of, what do you call it? What do you call that? Even something that's basic, not a nickname, but it's like, what's his name? McNugget, the notorious. But he was a soldier of God. And for me, when I heard that, I was like, oh, that's a bold statement. But that's what I do. That's what I am. I stand for God. And God to me is the correct way of doing things. It's the truth, it's the light, it's the way that it's meant to be. It's the answer, it's the stuff that brings things into balance, that heals stuff, that makes things better. It feels like love, that sacred vibration that we call love. It feels like joy, it feels like appreciation, it feels like the right way of doing things. That's what God is to me. That's what the conscious field of infinite possibilities, that intelligence is, that divine intelligence, whatever it is. What I experienced, that's what it feels like. Anything other than that, the darkness, the sadness, the decimation, the horrors that you see in this world just now, the clowns and the circus and the music industry and Hollywood and all the nonsense that you see online and on the TV and wherever else you see it, that's the opposite of that. So yin and yang, there is darkness and there is light. Unfortunately, the world just now seems to be being controlled by darkness. I think we'd be safe to agree that, and the evidence is of how sick people are. and the condition that we're in, you know, the condition that people are in. I do get into some kind of challenges regarding, you know, the whole male and female thing, and anybody can choose their sexual orientation in terms of who they want to spend time with sexually, but the way God intended it was very much male and female for me. That's it, that's the truth. You can't really argue with that. It doesn't matter what your belief system is, or to, you know, respect somebody else's intellectual belief system as to there's anything other than that. There only is male and female. That's the way that God designed it. Whatever God is, whatever she is or he is or it is, this field of infinite possibilities, there isn't really, you know. And maybe now, you know, when you look at it, with the way that we've been affected by the environment and the medications and whatever's in the water and the air and what's in our food, the poisons that we've been subjected to and the programme we've been subjected to, then I saw it yesterday in Glasgow, where people don't know. They're in between two worlds, which has been done by design, you know. But when you take it back to the truth, and this is why the truth sets us free, when you take it back to the absolute truth, there only is the two. There's male and female, and that's it. And it doesn't matter what you say or what your belief system is, you know. So it just shows you how insane, literally insane, the world is just now. But the truth sets us free, you know, and we need to at some point bring it back to that truth, because the evidence in the world and how it's working is broken. It isn't working. So many people are sick, so many people are dying way too young for many, many different reasons. The amount of people that are just chronically, massively obese, I saw it yesterday, purely through ignorance, because they don't know how to eat properly, because they've never learned like the detrimental effect of the poisons we put in our body, you know. So that's why, you know, ignorance is our only sin. Ignorance just means we don't know. Doesn't mean we're daft or we're thick or stupid. That isn't what it means. You look up the definition of ignorance, it just means we don't know. It's like a lack of knowledge. But once you've got the knowledge, you have awareness. Once you have the awareness, then it's on you. Then you can do something about it. And this is a time for great awareness. This is a time for absolutely bringing in new awarenesses, or perhaps the old awarenesses, as the way that it's meant to be. Why? So we can get it back to the way that it's meant to be. That's my mission. FullGod. I stand not beside God, I stand underneath God as a soldier for God, for the light, for the answers, for the solutions, for the way that it's meant to be, for the truth, because that's what makes things better. That's what fixes it and gets it back to the way that it's meant to be. And that could be detrimental to me at some point in the future, I have no doubt, but that's what I stand beside. And all glory to God for the greatest good always. I wish you all the best, sending love and light to you and yours. Have a fantastic day wherever you are, and I'll see you all soon. God bless, and bye for now.